the thing about Canada, again, I've mentioned it before, when the globalists want to start a conflict anywhere in the world, more often than not, they send in the Canadians first.
Wow.
They're special forces, they're different people. And they're the first to be sacrificed in war. And so Canadians are actually pretty wise to that. It's like, you deal with the behind the scenes. I had a friend that was on a UN peacekeeping force that was Canadian in the Mideast, very close friend. And back, 25 years ago, he came to the U.S. because they were confiscating all the guns, and he had a huge gun collection, like 2,500 guns. And so he came to the U.S., became a U.S. citizen, moved as much of his inventory down as he could. I mean, he had stuff from the 1800s, 1700s. He had stuff that was so rare, and they wouldn't let him keep anything.
Wow.
And it was just heartbreaking to him. And this guy, he was in a helicopter crash that ended his UN peacekeeper role. He was in a very select unit, and he was in a helicopter crash and in Lebanon, and broke his back severely. And so this was what he did. He was one of the top gun experts in the world. And but we'd had lots of conversations along this line. I wish he was here today. He passed away a few years ago, but he could read you through every time the Canadians were sent in and sacrificed first. And it was part of that club. It was almost like a ritual. And I'm just telling you, there is in the Canadian people this grit. There's a reason why they were sent in first. They settled up with the fucking Brits. And we went into a revolutionary war down here in the States. And there's been this simmering anger that still exists today because they see how these globalists are still using them.
Damn.
Still think about getting, they didn't quite cooperate back in that time. They had the 7 Years' War. They'll just pay forever. And they get it. It's not idle talk.
You don't see them
before this is over. The Canadians and the Americans may very well decide to close ranks and be a bit more buddy and chummy.
You don't see them backing down whatsoever, do you?
I think the Canadian people understand that this is the one shot that they have to get this crowd under control. Well, because it's that extreme, Nino. Yeah. And I'm being careful because we want to leave this up, okay? Yeah. So everybody just has to read between the lines. But this is a life or death thing, and the people involved know that. It's a quality of life, beyond actual life and death. It's a quality of life. I had a very close person to me who had a joint that had gone out, a hip. And even at a very advanced age, in the 90s, was in such pain because the hip had gone and was not functional that she said, look, it's about quality of life. If I have to be in this kind of pain, I'd rather die.
Right.
I'm going to get the hip replacement. I am at a fragile age, but I'm in pretty good health. I'm not perfect health. But if I die getting it, I die.
Got it.
I'm going to get it done because the quality of life, I can't live like this.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm telling you that Canadians get it.
They get it.
They've been in this thing far too long. And it's like we had the exasperation over being run around to wars all over the planet in the 60s. And we had these huge protests. We're not going to be somebody's cannon fodder, endless wars. That was part of the theme as President Trump came into office, these endless wars over and over. Iraq and Afghanistan over issues that never had anything to do with the events that they were purportedly started for. A complete concoction, myths. And we lost thousands and thousands, trillions of dollars, an excuse for a club to continue to constrict and control and enslave, not just America, but the whole world. And then this new latest issue is being used. It has a purpose to further enslave the planet. First in war, my heroes are our Canadian neighbors who are going to the mat against incredible odds to get the job done. We will be there here in the States shortly for different issues, but attacking ultimately the very same players.
You see it happening this year?
Control us.
You see it happening this year, Bonito?
What, you going to let the Canadians hang out there forever?
I agree with you. And on that note, folks.
You saw me. I was in the truck. We're not freaking waiting. We're there.
No, yeah.